Hey everyone, if you don't know, one of the new things about this season is that the towers now have turret plating. There are 5 plates and after killing one you get 160 gold. This is a huge deal, especially in top lane because it allows you to get a lead by just getting tower damage. So if you can establish a CS lead and 1 or 2 early turret plates, you can begin to snowball. In this video, we're going to analyze a perfect game plan of how to get early tower damage from KT Kingen in a Korean Challenger game. Before getting into the game plan, let's break down the matchup. Kingen will be playing Jace versus Victor. Victor ultimately wins poke trades by using his shield to negate the damage, but Jace wins extended trades since he's an AD champion. Also, in this matchup, Jace has more wave clear. Okay, now let's take a look at the game plan. Mission 1. Slow push the waves. Slow pushes are really common in top lane and they give you a great deal of time to get tower damage. Mission 2. Use a large wave to get a health lead. Having a big wave behind you makes you pretty much impossible to trade with, which establishes lane dominance, leading to 1 trades. Mission 3. Chip away at the tower, look for a solo kill, or call the jungler to dive. These are the 3 ways we can use our health lead with a slow pushing wave to punish the enemy top laner. Alright, let's get into the gameplay. Before laning starts, Jace has to leash Camille at the enemy red buff. After he's done, he heads to lane and finds Victor cheesing him in the tri-brush. Most players would just ignore him and head to lane, but since Kingen knows that Jace has a stronger level 1 than Victor, since he's an AD champion with 2 abilities instead of 1, he doesn't back off and goes in for an extended trade, dropping Victor to 20% health. This was a huge mistake from the Victor, and not just because of the health that he lost. Here's why. Since Camille started the enemy red buff and the enemy team knew it, the junglers are going to be vertical jungling or splitting the map. If you don't know, all this means is that Camille will be going from the enemy red to her blue, and the enemy jungler will start her red and go to their own blue. The reason why this is a big deal is that the enemy jungler won't be on the top side of the map for a good while, and Camille will be here for the next few minutes. The Victor knows this, otherwise he wouldn't have tried to cheese the brush, so he knows he needs to take basically no trades and be full health, otherwise Camille and Jace will just dive him. Unfortunately for Victor, he just gave up a ton of health, so let's see what happens. After that trade, Jace focuses on starting his slow push for mission 1 by continuously autoing minions. Basically, all that Jace needs to do here is to get the wave pushing with auto attacks and the slow push will happen. Then, Victor walks up to grab some last hits right as Jace was about to hit level 2, so he starts to move up right before he hits it to make sure he's in range to capitalize for mission 2. He hits 2 auto attacks but misses his shock blast. Either way, the idea was right. He heads back to wave to collect his last hits and lands a sneaky shock blast on Victor. At this point, Victor has no potions left and knows Camille split the map and might be topside, so he tries to recall to get full health to prevent the dive. Kingen just doesn't let him though and catches him with an empowered shock blast, dropping him to 10%. Then, just a few seconds later, Camille sweeps in to grab the easy kill. All of this was enabled by the level 1 trade that he took, even when he knew the junglers were splitting the map. So this might seem like Jace is just getting jungle help, when in actuality it's more like Victor trolling and Camille capitalizing on it. Anyway, Jace shoves in the lane and Victor TPs to catch the big wave. Jace didn't get the kill, so Victor won't really be behind thanks to his TP. So in terms of straight 1v1, the lane is still pretty close to even. Kingen is going to recall now and has to decide whether to use TP or not. What do you think that you would do here? The correct choice in this scenario is to just save the TP here because he just pushed a big wave in, meaning that the wave will bounce back, so he won't actually miss that many CS. This means that he can go back to lane with his TP advantage, look to trade, and then TP back with the health lead. Anyway, so he gets back to lane and the first thing that he does before showing himself is he places a pink ward in the brush. It's really important to do this before you start laning because junglers like to sit and wait for you to get back to lane and then gank right away. The wave is slow pushing toward him as expected, so he doesn't want to play too aggressively. He's just going to auto minions to slowly thin the wave as it pushes back to his tower. When the waves meet again, they're going to be frozen here until the blue one dies, setting up Victor for an easy gank. But the wave is massive, and Camille is at 60% health, so it's possible that Victor could actually 2v1 them right now. So instead, Kingen just uses his shock blast on the wave and continues to thin it. Now, I know what you're thinking. If this Camille was your jungler, they would just go in right away and you would be forced to help. Even if your jungler does go in right away and you know it's the wrong play, just let them die. Honestly, dying when you have a huge wave pushing towards you is the worst possible situation. After Kingen thins the wave enough, he begins to position aggressively and tries to push Victor towards Camille by approaching him from this angle. Victor isn't really acting scared though, and doesn't begin to back off. This is where a lot of high elo mind games come into play. So Victor knows that his wave is in a spot where he is easily ganked, and his jungler also knows this. Kingen and his jungler both know that Victor knows this, so the fact that he's not playing scared is pretty weird. Kingen catches on and makes a really smart play by putting his ward down in the brush where he finds Xin waiting to countergank. So as soon as they see him, they know to back off since Victor is a level up and has a large minion wave to help them fight. It wouldn't really be plausible for Kingen and his jungler to win the 2v2. So what was almost a disaster was prevented by Kingen intelligently placing a ward. After that, he focuses on collecting his last hits and then begins mission 1 again, slowly pushing the wave until the next wave arrives to create a big one, and then he shoves it to the tower. With this large wave crashing, he starts mission 3 and just autos the tower, not really caring about Victor harassing him the whole time. He gets the plate really low but can't quite get it, so he backs off. So it's obvious that Kingen really wanted that turret plate. He got really greedy though and took way too much harass. He should have gone a bit slower and not taken as much damage from Victor, but it was kind of unlucky with how low the plate was. So you may remember that earlier we talked about trading and then TPing back with a health lead. Well, he got some poke off on Victor there, and he's coming back to lane with the wave slow pushing towards him, and he'll have the item advantage since he got to spend his gold and Victor hasn't. When his TP is done, he lands a nice shock blast and rushes to go all in. This is the perfect time to do it, because the next red wave is about 2 seconds from getting here, so Victor's slow push hasn't created the big wave yet. Kingen takes advantage of this, resulting in him getting a solo kill. And since Victor doesn't have TP, he's going to miss a lot of minions and will be even further behind. Okay, so let's recap. As Kingen was heading to lane, Victor was waiting in the brush to cheese him, but ended up taking a really bad trade. We talked about why this was especially bad since the junglers would be splitting the map, so Camille is going to be topside for a while. Kingen created a slow pushing wave and used that wave to get level 2 first and chip at Victor's health. Victor tried to recall so he could come back to lane with full health to prevent the dive, but Kingen caught him with a shock blast, making Camille's gank really easy. After getting the kill, Kingen recalled and didn't use his TP so he could put it to good use later. He walked back to lane with the wave slow pushing towards him and Camille looking to gank. Something was off though, and Kingen had a really clutch ward to catch Xin in the brush and prevented a 2v2 that would have surely been lost. He eventually slow pushed the wave again the other way and used it to try and get a tower plate, but missed it by 1 auto before being forced to back off. He TP'd back to lane with the item advantage and then went all in on Victor since his next wave hadn't arrived yet, getting him a solo kill and closing the lane out. So that's going to be it for this one guys, thanks as always for watching.